Something happened during the Super Bowl halftime show that people didn't expect. At first, it just looked like a performance, but within minutes, social media started arguing about it, and not in a normal way. Because this wasn't just about music. People started debating what the moment meant, and whether it even belonged on the Super Bowl stage in the first place. Some viewers loved it, others were completely confused, and the reaction online got bigger than the performance itself. Watch this part carefully.
All right, y'all, as a very blonde and vanilla American girl, I gotta say that's one of my favorite halftime shows in a hot minute. And I loved Kendrick. I loved the early 90s redo. I have loved pretty much every halftime show, but this one was really, really cool for me. Even though I didn't know what the songs mean, I love the beats, I love his energy. I love the message of peace, and I love the message of just stay true to yourself. Anybody who didn't like it, you can suck it, you can unfollow me, and you can keep scrolling because Bad Bunny just killed that. That was great.
And this is where things started getting interesting, because a lot of people watching the Super Bowl weren't just reacting to a performance, they were reacting to what the performance represented. For some viewers, this halftime show felt long overdue. Bad Bunny wasn't just another guest performer. He was the headliner, and the entire show leaned heavily in to his culture, his language, and his style of music. The stage design, the dancing, the music, it was intentionally different from what a lot of viewers usually expect during a Super Bowl halftime show. And for a huge part of the audience, that was exactly the point. Some people online were saying this was one of the first times they actually felt represented on one of the biggest stages in American television. The performance even ended with a message about unity and love and flags from across the Americas. But not everyone saw it that way. Because while one side was celebrating, another group of viewers was reacting in a completely opposite direction. And this is where the conversation really split. Because at the same time, praise was spreading online, criticism started spreading just as fast. Watch this reaction.
I literally just got done watching the Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show, and I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but it just wasn't good. And before anybody jumps in the comments, I went into this with an open mind. I wanted to like it. I wasn't trying to make it political. I wasn't rooting against it. I genuinely thought maybe this would surprise me. But honestly, it felt flat. Most of it was just people grinding on each other, not a lot of actual dancing. The choreography wasn't even memorable. And even the pyrotechnics, which is usually where the halftime show goes big, those were kind of weak. I kept waiting for a moment, like that one performance where you go, okay, that was it. And it just never came. And look, this isn't a knock on Bad Bunny as an artist. Clearly he's massive. But as a Super Bowl halftime show, it felt more like a club performance scaled up than something built for the biggest stage in sports. Also, I'll be honest, I don't speak Spanish, so a lot of the lyrics went right over my head, which made it even harder to connect emotionally. I kept asking myself, what's the theme here? What's the story? And I never really got an answer. I wanted energy, spectacle, something iconic, and instead it just felt meh. If you loved it, cool. I'm glad it hit for you. But for me, this halftime show was forgettable, and that's the worst thing a Super Bowl performance can be. Forgettable.
Now this reaction right here is why the discussion exploded. The disagreement wasn't just about whether the music was good, it became about expectations. For decades, many people have viewed the Super Bowl halftime show as a very specific type of entertainment. Familiar songs, artists widely recognized by mainstream audiences, and performances designed to appeal to as many viewers as possible. But this year felt different. Bad Bunny performed primarily in Spanish, showcased Puerto Rican imagery, and centered a style of music that isn't traditionally the core audience of American football broadcasts. So what you ended up seeing online wasn't really a music debate, it was a comfort debate. Some viewers felt included, others felt disconnected. And when that happens on the biggest television broadcast of the year, reactions get intense very quickly. Social media basically turned into two separate conversations happening at the same time. One side was saying this was cultural representation. The other side was saying this didn't feel like the Super Bowl they were used to. Even public figures jumped in. Reactions ranged from praise to harsh criticism. And once celebrities, commentators, and influencers started weighing in, the halftime show became bigger than the game itself. That's when you know a moment crossed from entertainment into culture.
Bad Bunny's Super Bowl 60 halftime show was the worst halftime show I've ever witnessed. And this grandma said the quiet part out loud, and I couldn't agree more.
I'm like, who is this man? Golly! He can't sing. I mean, like, what is this? Golly! This is ridiculous. And got the American flag and all these other flags. And yeah, God bless you too. Get off the stage. Please get off the stage. Get off. Put the game back on. I can't stand this.
And the worst part wasn't his performance. The worst part is the performance that every left-wing liberal is putting on, saying that this was the best show ever. He spoke for millions of... Stop. No, he didn't. No, he didn't do any of that. And I could almost guarantee that every single one of you could not understand what he was saying. Because as a Hispanic, I didn't even understand what he was saying. Because apparently we live in a time where you can become famous for mumbling with an accent. Porque te di para un dos, te mandé mucha novia, mañana una, mañana otra. Bro, just mañana una, mañana otra. Why is that so hard?
The Super Bowl is watched by millions of people who all expected different things. Some want nostalgia, some want spectacle, some want cultural moments, and some want familiarity. You can't satisfy all of those at the same time. So, whenever a performance leans strongly in one direction, a reaction is guaranteed. This one just happened faster because social media reacts instantly now. Here's the part that explains why this spread so fast online. The halftime show only lasted minutes, but reaction videos lasted hours. People weren't just watching the performance, they were watching each other react to the performance. And that turns a single event into a continuing story. Because once viewers start choosing sides, they stay engaged longer. They want to see who agrees, who disagrees, and what gets said next. That's how a performance becomes a trending topic instead of just a show. So the debate wasn't really about whether the halftime show was good or bad. It was about expectations colliding. One group saw celebration, another group saw change, and the Super Bowl, because of how big it is, became the place where those reactions met. Whether people loved it or hated it, the same thing happened. Everyone talked about it. And at the end of the day, that's usually the sign of a moment that mattered. But I want to know what you think. Did the halftime show live up to the moment, or did it feel like it didn't belong there? Comment below, I'm curious where people fall on this one. And if you want more breakdowns of the stories everyone online suddenly starts arguing about, subscribe to After the Clip, because sometimes the reaction ends up being bigger than the event itself.